Hello, everybody, and welcome to Riftbound Ramblings. I'm your host, Barrett, and today is Monday, July 28th, as we are very quickly approaching October and the first set release of Riftbound Origins. They gave us a bunch of articles today. Today they talked about organized play and how they kind of broke down that and also gave us the confirmation of the first event, or the regional qualifier, I should say. They talked about collectability and what it means for the way that their packs are structured and overnumbered cards, because people had questions about that. And then they also gave us another article discussing deck building and kind of like a primer for people that are struggling on building decks right now, because the game is hard. The game is difficult because they give you so many cards in the first set, and there's only the four trial decks, right? And there's only four characters or legends inside the proving grounds. So if you want to build one of the characters that's not in those, it can be a rough start. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So, on the first article where they talk about organized play, obviously one of the big things that matters for having organized play is the tournament rules. We've already had the core rules, which help you learn the game and use the mechanics inside the game. Tournament rules, though, can change game to game when going to the organized play functions. So, of course, I'm not going to read all this. You guys are adults. And I also just, implore you to go and just check out the articles, because they do a really good job and put time into those. But additionally, this tells you like the reasons why you can get a warning, or why something that's like really easily reversible, you can take back the game action, or you fix it and you don't get a warning and stuff like that. So all those things are important if you plan on playing this game at a high competitive level. So I do recommend you go check that out, so you know what you can get in trouble for and won't get in trouble for, which matters. So I think that this is really interesting and good to have. So I'm glad they came out with it now. And of course, they can always amend these, and they can always update them and come out with different ones. They also mention in the same article that the judge program is coming soon. They say as we get closer to the release of Origins, we'll announce more details to the judge program, including how to apply various judge tests, incentives for taking part, etc. People love to judge. I'm not personally someone that's big on judging, but they do talk about also at this point in the article that they want their judges to very much be like Pokemon professors, in the sense that you are an advocate for the game. You are someone who is growing your own community. You are someone people look to when referring to the game. And although I think I fit in that category when it comes to the personality, these are people that are willing to give up their spot to play to make sure that the integrity of the tournaments are ran smoothly, and they don't mind it. And I'm in a similar boat when it comes to like commentating or making content, of course. So I understand where they come from, and I have a lot of respect for people that judge. It is not for me, because I have too many friends, and it's really hard for me to be impartial. But yeah, if you are interested in becoming a judge, keep an eye out, because it will be coming up the closer we get to October. First regional qualifier was confirmed in December 2025. I know on the roadmap, when they told us about the levels of organized play in the past that we've talked about, it said that it was in Atlanta. This does not say that it's in Atlanta, which makes me think it might not be in Atlanta. So I would not be booking any flights for that. Also, we don't even have the specific dates, of course. But they have confirmed that it will be in December of 2025, which is this year, only 2 months after October, of course. They talk about some pricing, what level this is going to be. They talk about the OPL a lot, which is the organized play level, and like where this lies. So this is obviously the first tier also that these are giving out cash prizes. So people that are looking for that real reason to become a quote unquote professional card game player, these are the ones you're looking out for. These are the ones you want to be going to. With that also being said, they talked about the first regional championship, and they did give a date. They said October 2026, which makes sense because this will be leading up to the first Worlds that they did also confirm was going to be in 2027. But after immediately that 2027 date, they did start talking about rotation. They went ahead and dove in a little bit deeper and gave us a roadmap of, hey, October of this year, Origins is getting released. For the next 2 years, or during that time, 2026 and 2027, sets 2 through 9 are going to come out. They've already got a roadmap, they've got it planned out. At the beginning of 2028, when set 10 releases, they will be rotating sets 1 through 5. Okay, so that's quite a bit. So then that means during 2028, sets 11, 12, 13 will come out, which is basically giving us this release cadence of 3 sets per year. That seems fine. I'm okay with that. When the set of 14 releases in 2029, they will then rotate another 3 or 6, 7, 8. They will rotate another 4 sets. So 4 in, 4 out. In a similar sense, they of course they are getting rid of 5 in that first rotation because I think October 2025 being that weird one. So people doing some quick math, they say that the cycle will continue for standard and growing and shrinking in size of 4 to 8 sets as new sets are released and older sets rotate out. So, of course, rotation only occurs at the beginning of the year with the first set of that year. But this does mean you have kind of like a short amount of time with certain cards. Because set 5, for example, if set 5 is the last set of 2026, which would make sense, right? Which means set 6 through 9 will be from 2027. That also makes sense. That set that you got at the end of 2026 will immediately rotate at the beginning of 2028. If you do some easy math, people kind of do some calculating. Let's say the set comes out in October of 2026, and we have the first set of 2028 come out in February. Your set is only going to be about 15, 16, 17 months legal, which to some people is not a lot of time, and some people that is the point of controversy that people really have to have like a gripe with. But it does mean that sets that come out later in the year have less time to grow and mess around with, which at least on like a designer standpoint, like that can be good, that can be bad. It means you can get a little crazy sometimes with cards that are going to be not in standard for as long of a period of time. But it also means the larger those sets are, a lot of people might not be interested in, you know, collecting everything from those sets. But of course, there's a lot of moving parts here. The cards have to be good, the mechanics have to be good, etc., etc. This is just talking about standard rotation and legality, but this is pretty normal in my opinion, and most games kind of settle on something close to this. Additionally, as we move on to the next article, which is where they start talking about collectability and things that are going to be going on, they officially give us like the pack breakdown, which we have a visual for now, which is the 7 commons, which you can see at the top ish. You get 3 uncommons, which are in the bottom right, and then you get 1 foil card slot. So in this pack, it's the Rebuke, and they said it's going to be foil. They said more often than not, it will be a common or an uncommon that comes in foil, but it can be anything. It really can. They said it could be an epic or a rare, but those already come foil, so there's just a world where you can get 3 of those in a pack. So that's why in this 2 rare or better card slots, those on the bottom left, those are your epics and rares and things like that. But that you could get a third one in that other slot, because I also think that foil card slot is also where you have the opportunity to open an alt art. Of course, they also have token and runes, so this rune is the Fury rune that you opened up, and that's over there on the top right. Additionally, they said there's going to be an informational insert, so if you add everything up, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 plus the insert, that's 15 things coming out of your pack, so the packs are going to feel good to open. People like a lot of cards in your packs. They also gave us some clarification on over-numbered cards because a lot of people were like, okay, well, why are you calling them this and things like that. And they told us. They are over-numbered cards because their collector number is above the set numberings. Origin has 298 cards in it. So Poro Hoarder, for example, is 61 out of 298. But if you look further down, what does this mean to have overnumbers? This indicates that they are not part of the set for determining legality. This concept is a bit of a deep cut for highly enfranchised TCG players, so let's break it down. Basically, if they print a card in set 1 and then they reprint it as an overnumber card in set 9, it does not count towards set 9's legality. It only matters if they had printed the same card within that set as a non-overnumbered card, that it would be a set 9 card for tournament legality. That's pretty cool because it means they have this opportunity that as more sets go on, they can continue to print sought after alternate art cards in that slot, depending on like even like player demand, based off of what people are saying, and I think that's really cool. They also said and told us, and I added this little section right below, They believe that overnumber cards should remain special into the future. That means they will never reprint an overnumber that they've printed before with the same art and same frame. Overnumbers will remain unique and collectibles far into the future. That means they're going to be one of a kind, basically. And I think a lot of people really like that. And it means they can do whatever they want with it because they said they can change the art or frame for things. And that's really nice. So looking forward for collectors to see how interested they are going to be into those. And then the last article they gave us, they talked about the deck building primer. I only grabbed the snippet here where it breaks down each of the domains because I like stuff like this. That, these are the things that I would be telling a player that's getting into Riftbound, hey, have you played another card game? These are the things that these domains excel at. For example, Fury is about aggression, passion, and thrilling conquering. Okay, that's pretty words. Fury decks often use damage-based removal, accelerate, other ways of entering ready. I'm going to use the word haste for Magic players, and rewards for conquering to achieve victory. So they're really good at conquering battlefields. Generally, Fury cards have a harder time drawing lots of cards or killing units directly, especially units that stay out of combat in their base. Okay, so that tells me, at least as somebody who's been playing the game, Fury does a lot more damage to units on battlefields, which I would say is pretty accurate. Examples of Fury from popular fiction are Conan the Barbarian, Blade, and Anakin Skywalker. I think that's a little fun part that they put at the bottom of all of these. But the idea to me is like, wow, Red plays very. Have you played Magic the Gathering? Red plays very similarly to, oh, I don't know, Red. And like that's where you get it. But then you have the more convoluted ones. If you go to the other side, and you have body domain, right? Orange. Body is about physical superiority, agility, and connection to the wilds. Body decks often ramp their resources, play efficient and high impact units, and dominate combat to achieve victory. Generally, body cards have a harder time with finding efficient card draw or non combat spells. Examples of body from popular fiction are the Terminator, Juggernaut, and Chewbacca. I would tell somebody if they're like, "Hey, have you played other card games? Oh, you've played Magic." Body domain is a lot closer to green, right? Because they play big units, they ramp, they do these things, right? So if you are a Magic player and you're trying to tell somebody, "Oh, I love green in Magic. That's my favorite color in Magic." You go, "Wow, you're gonna love the body domain, and you're gonna love these cards." And of course, there's 6 colors here. There's 6 domains. So they're not going to be exactly like a one-to-one, but there is going to be, a realm of connectiveness. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Mind Blue, I do genuinely kind of think of like more spell-based things because like to me blue uh in Riftbound has the card draw that would be equivalent to Magic the Gathering's blue, but it doesn't have like I don't know, the like counter spells part that would be in green. So like it is very much like there's weird overlaps and there's different things going on. But I like this kind of part. Getting back to the article, it does go in and talk about like, hey, if you want to build a Lee Sin deck, sorry, we didn't give you a Lee Sin trial deck. We didn't give you Lee Sin in the Proving Grounds product. Here's an example on what you should be doing on building your first Riftbound deck. They talk about focusing on how many units you should be playing and how many interactive spells you should be playing and yada yada yada. How many gears, how many units to non-units you should have in your deck. They talk about like what the rune diversity should be in your deck. They go, you should probably start at 6 and 6, but as you build your deck and as you elaborate on it, you'll put in more cards that need you know, blue power costs versus red power costs. So you take out a couple red runes so that you find those blue ones on the times that you need to find them. And for everybody that has already been playing games and testing things out, this is very much true because we know we've seen a couple of the weekly tournaments already and people are elaborating and changing their decks and trying different things. I've seen 3 different Kaisa decks now do well in the weekly tournaments for the weekly Riftbound report, and I don't know which one is correct. I don't know which one is right. I don't know what's going to be the best Kaisa deck. I've seen 5 set decks at this point, right? So we saw mono yellow Victor take down one of them, right? So there's so much to be doing already, and people are getting really creative, and the game's not even out yet for us in North America. So it's a cool article. if you're not really into it, it's very beginner friendly, and so if you're not into it, obviously don't worry about it. But I do recommend if you are interested in like checking things like out, and I would push this towards people you're trying to get into the game. But that's going to be it that we have for today. Thanks so much for joining into this video. If you like what I'm doing and you like what you see, go ahead and give a like to the video. Subscribe to the channel, of course, so you never miss a video when I do come out with it. And of course, get in the comments. Tell me things you're excited for, things that are going to be coming out. Do you like the organized play system? Are you kind of bummed that we're not going to get our first regional championship until October of next year? And if so, how many regional qualifiers would Riot have to give you to make you feel like there's enough cash tournaments to be competing into leading up to that thing, and then eventually going into Worlds, of course? But let me know if you don't like the rotation system. I want to know if you guys are interested or not interested. I love any sort of information, and I love hearing people's opinions. So thanks so much for watching this one, and of course, we will see you on the next one.